Right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Channels Beams on Google Plus Hangout. Today, we're looking at the declaration of a caliphate by Boko Haram in Gwoza local government area of Borno State, that's in northeast Nigeria. We have today Tolulope Agbola. He is calling from Finland. He's calling from Vasa in Finland. Tolulope, thanks for joining the Hangout. All right, great. We have Benjamin Cosmos. Benjamin is in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Thank you for coming on board. We have Tony Solomon, who is in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Thank you for coming on board. And we have Benjamin Abagoriola, who is in Malaysia as well. I think it's Kuala Lumpur. But thank you all for joining the hangout. Chimdi Akachukwu just joining in. Chimdi, we can still hear noise on your audio from your side, but welcome on the hangout. I guess we hopefully will be able to sort that issue out. But going now straight to the conversation, Benjamin, I would come to you on the fact that this insurgents have been able to establish or even put up hoist their flag in another part of this country. How do you see this going for Nigeria in very recent and present and
Actually, I think this is what they have been fighting for a long time now. They have been saying it that they want to establish an Islamic state, and so I think they've succeeded in carving out a particular portion to start by there, raising their flags up. I watched the videos and what they were doing there, the gunfires and all that, and but let's come to think of it. The insurgents in the north, I think Boko Haram is not the first. It's not the first time because I've been in the north. I keep saying it. There have been so many insurgents, the Metasini, the all and all from 1991. If you begin to see long history of the north, you find that the north, you cannot mention the northern part of Nigeria without, in every 2-3 years, without having one violence broken out, which is no massacre and no slaughtering of people, innocent people for that matter. So I see this Boko Haram as a tool, as a particular body that is coming to speak for them particularly, and this is what they are doing. And so the northern elites, I'm sorry to say this, some of the northern elites have a hand in this issue. They know where this problem is, and unfortunately, the military has been compromised because they are getting good source. They're having a very good info on the Nigerian military, and that is why they are striving and succeeding very hard. Because because the only person that can fight you very well is if you have an insider. They have an insider in the Nigerian military that is giving them good info, and that is why they are really succeeding. But come to think of it in another way, our military are trying. We don't have to criticize them, and I think for them, they think they are winning the war and carving out a particular place as a caliphate for their own. At least they are starting already for them. But I think with time, if we all can put hands together, we'll win the war of these Boko Haram insurgents. But I think, but before we can win the war, we have to be very sincere. We have to be very sincere. Our military have to be very sincere in fighting this set of people called Boko Haram, because so many lives has been killed, so many people has been beheaded, suffering of children, young boys in the school, so many things. These are videos that you can't even stay 20 minutes to watch it, because by the time you want to watch the video, you see the way they are putting knife on somebody's throat, and you just turn it off. So they have done so many havoc, and it's time for every Nigerians to speak. Already now there is even touching, including the north and the south. Now it's touching everybody. It's no longer one particular part of the country. It's touching everybody, touching including the imams, some of the Muslim elite already is touching them. So now everybody is crying. So we just have to support our military to make sure that we win this war against this Boko Haram issue.
All right, Benjamin. I hope that this support comes in real quick. But just before we continue, we have two persons coming on board. Ojuku Augustine, if you can hear me. Ojuku Augustine, can you hear me? Okay, Ojuku, can you hear me? Olumuyiwa Babatunde Amao, welcome to the hangout and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nigeria. Good afternoon, Victor. How are you guys doing?
We're all doing good. All right, so I'm just in continuing. Benjamin Obagoriola, I would come to you now. We heard about some of the soldiers fleeing into Cameroon. What do you think could have been responsible for that decision? I mean, that tactical maneuvers, it was said in the military headquarters.
Yeah, it is long overdue that Nigerian army have compromised with Nigerian security. Number one, the person I'm going to apportion the blame, why the military have failed woefully, I will still say it is President Goodluck Jonathan. The president have forgotten that he is the chief commander-in-chief of the armed forces and to the federation. He owes an allegiance to Nigerians that is going to secure the country. Now, let's put it this way. Boko Haram has been in existence right before Yadua died. Jonathan came on board during campaign. It was being threatened that, hey, if you win, we're going to make this country ungovernable for you. Eventually, Jonathan won the election, and this crisis started. We should not be pinpointing anybody now. Jonathan is the commander-in-chief of armed forces. I was listening to a guy, he said, since when Jonathan became the president, he has not prosecuted anybody about this Boko Haram issue. Nigerians have budgeted about ₦1 trillion now for security. We have not seen any result. The military have lost their senses of belonging in Nigeria. Imagine the Boko Haram, they were thinking that Boko Haram are just toy. With the issues in the Middle East, like ICC guys, the Boko Haram are getting more confident that we can defeat these guys. Now they've gone to Gwoza to chase the military, which they say they are the giant of Africa. They've lost that identity of giant of Africa. Now, what is the major cause of the military to run? The military were overpowered because they don't have they don't have good ammunition. The Boko Haram, they are well armed. And if you look at this Maiduguri that the military is staying, most of this military formation as just small entity which anybody can overrun. There is no fence. Nigerian military don't have intelligence. I was listening to the previous and the ex-general, the last chief of army staff, Ejirike. El-Rufai accused him of being one of the sponsors of Boko Haram. A general of his stature is now telling us that El-Rufai has been the sponsor of Boko Haram. When he was a chief of army staff, he never mentioned it to anybody in the world that El-Rufai was one of the sponsors of Boko Haram. Now, because he retired and El-Rufai was like trying to accuse him, they now retaliate and say, yeah, El-Rufai too is one of the sponsors of Boko Haram. As we're talking today, SSS, nobody, no intelligent report on each of these individuals. No intelligent gathering. How are you going to fight Boko Haram? Who is the sponsor of Boko Haram? If they have strong guys, who are they? No intelligent gathering. I still cannot define who is sponsoring Boko Haram with all Nigeria has. President Goodluck Jonathan has failed Nigeria just as Obama has failed America with his weak foreign policy. Obama and Jonathan, they are working in the same line. Because if you look at the crisis all over the world today, it is being caused by Obama's weak foreign policy. You see in IC, when they were telling Obama about ICC in the last 2 months, he said they are just like junior JVC team. But today, it doesn't have any strategy to fight ICC because they are more sophisticated guys. Like what this guy is talking about, poverty. I don't think that poverty have led to this extremism. It isn't poverty. If you look at these guys that were going to ICC in Iraq and Syria, they are all educated guys from UK, from Australia, from America, all over the world. They are trooping in. They want to establish an Islamic Caliphate, which is the aim of, I'm sorry to say this to our Muslim brothers, that is just one of the agenda of these Muslim guys. We want to create a caliphate. We want to make Muslim the supremacy of everybody. And American is saying, you cannot bring Islamic Caliphate to civilization. It's not going to work. So Jonathan have been romancing with this Islamic, I don't know what his agenda is, but I have seen Jonathan as the president of Nigeria has become a stooge to whomever has been like fighting, sponsoring Boko Haram. Jonathan has become a stooge. Former President Babangida have been accused of sponsoring Boko Haram. Nobody have called him for questioning. Nobody have investigated him. Even if it is just rumor, the SSS should have intervened and like call these guys for questioning. And, hey, we heard that you are this. Can you verify who you are? But nobody, no action is taking place. Nigeria has become a stateless nation.
All right, Benjamin, that's a very grave allegation you're making. I do hope that you have your facts to back that up. But then we'll just move forward. Don Solomon, you've been smiling all this while he was talking. Do you agree with his assertion that President Jonathan is the main cause of this issue?
To an extent, I think the president has some blame, you know, because when he came to office, nobody in Nigeria ever expects that Nigeria is going to pass through some of what we're passing through right now. But the president has failed because he decided not to do the right thing at the right time when it's required. When issues like this come up in a developing world, I mean, a country like United Kingdom, there are some certain steps you have to take if you want to fight terror. The only part I was laughing when my good friend was talking about President Obama. It's not true that the American government has failed, to fight the terror war. But the most important thing where they are failed is because they don't want to do what is going to, we could look back to the history of fighting terror. Let's go back to what happened in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and this is where we all come from, and this is where all this terror come from back to Africa. Then back to Nigeria, I think President Jonathan has failed. He failed because he doesn't want to take responsibility because of his own personal ambition, because he thinks probably fighting Boko Haram because he knows the people who are really involved in this issue of Boko Haram in Nigeria, the politicians, some of the accused Northerners who are in charge of Boko Haram. He refused to bring these people to justice, for them to be able to be questioned, for them to be able to give us facts why we are having thousands of Nigerians being killed every day by Boko Haram before we even got to this extent of declaring an Islamic Caliphate. President Jonathan is an individual who in his own failed state of mind, build around himself people who don't have passion, for Nigeria, people who don't want Nigeria to be a great nation. And that is where the problem comes from. When you have people like Donyo Kumpe in your administration, people who don't actually have passion for a greater Nigeria, people who are holding in government for their own personal interests. We become a nation whereby we're being ruled by people who are just self-centered, greedy people, and this is where his problem is coming from. He's capable enough to have won the war on Boko Haram, but his problem is the people around him who are not telling him the truth, who are not being sincere with their approach to fight this cause. That is what I believe.
Oh, all right. Thank you there, Don. We'll just move forward. But just before we do that, we have a new caller. Godi Wogu. I believe you're in Prague, in the Czech Republic. Hello, Godi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Tolulokwe, let me come to you on this now. Are you there, Tolulokwe? All right. Benjamin Obagoriola and Don Solomon just made their contributions, partly blaming the president, of Nigeria on this Boko Haram issue. But moving away from the president, Boko Haram literally chased Nigerian army into Cameroon. How well do you think that portrays? I mean, looking at the fact that they are constitutionally, engaged, it's their constitutional obligation to defend the territorial sovereignty of this country, and they were being chased. How well do you think that portends for this country?
Well, I think one major philosophy I live by is for you to deal with a problem, you have to go back to its roots. And for me, like the first person mentioned, he mentioned about the history of insurgents in the north. I've never been opportune. The farthest I've gone in the north is Abuja. So I've never been opportune to live in the north anyway. But with the things I've known for a long time, I think the north really needs attention. And somebody mentioned about northern allies. It's really important those people are held responsible, right? Come to think of it, why is it that JAMB, Northerners always have lowest cutoff? Why is it that unity schools, they always have the lowest cutoff? So that means they attach more importance to religion and the imagery or whatever they call it, more than education. And education is the only way where we can really transit from our old civilization to the new civilization. There's no way about it. There's no two way about it. So, like, it's really complicated. And for me, the Northern Airlines really need to sit. They need to have a round table meeting with the president and of course I have my reservations about the president. I'm not his fan at all, but I don't want to come in like some opposition or anything. So I'll just leave the president. Everybody knows how he handles the national interest. But the Northern Airlines especially need to be held responsible. Like, I mean, they send their own sons to the best of school. Of course, some go send their sons to Sudan. I mean, sons and daughters to Sudan, some to the States, some to the UK. But there are a lot of people around who are just walking up and down, no jobs, no school, nothing. And you guys, you take control of the resources and everything. It doesn't come down. People don't even know anything about. I mean, it's okay. I've not lived there anyway, but my the bottom line of what I'm trying to say is the Northern Airlines are supposed to be very responsible. But back to the situation at hand right now, I think the president is the person to be held responsible because as a Nigerian, that is who holds the custody of everything Nigerian, like the number one person. So I think he needs to go back to the drawing board and get the trust of the military heads, who we also learned sometimes they don't pay, they don't equip the food soldiers and all that. But I just think it's really complicated, but for things to get better, the Northern Airlines have to really take things matters into their own hands. The community elders have to go back to rehabilitate the youth because it's an ongoing process. They are they are getting new and new recruits into their movement, and the military has to be equipped as well. And we need to be really transparent here, like talk of the bring back our girls. Military said, yeah, they are watching them, they can see them. Okay, now where are they? Where are the girls? President said, yeah, we are just waiting. We don't want them to shoot the girls. Later, they said that the girls are not even in Sambisa, they have been scattered. Like, there's no transparency. You don't really know what is really happening. Fine, we know things that are related to security of the country. You don't have to say everything out to the whole public like it's still ongoing. But at least don't just juggle the people and play on our intelligence. I mean, ordinary serial films and action films you watch, the plots are even more intelligent than the way Nigerian things play out sometimes. It's always questionable.
Okay. All right, Amtullah, thanks there. But let me just say that for those of you watching on YouTube, you can send your comments. We'll read them here. Use the hashtag Caliphate in Gwoza. But then I can see Benjamin Obagoriola and Benjamin Cosmos. They are already having taken it on each other in the chat box. So if you have any reservation on what someone is saying, you can take it out with him on the chat box. If it's not yet your turn to make your contributions, then I'll read those comments as the hangout goes on. Ben Cosmos says, I don't believe that GEJ is the problem of Boko Haram. He adds that GEJ has a good person for Nigeria, or is a good person for Nigeria, but the so-called born to rule are doing anything possible to bring him down. However, Obagoriola Benjamin does not agree. He says that, Ben, do you know the authority the president holds? If Boko Haram issue is not being curtailed now, when do you think it's going to be tackled? Well, those are one of the things we aim to look at in this hangout. And then Ojukwu Augustine is just joining and he's asking me to connect him. Ojukwu, I will. Good afternoon, and where are you calling from first and foremost? Ojukwu,
hello, August. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ojukwu.
Yeah. Okay.
Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good
Yeah, good day, good
Good evening.
afternoon.
I'm calling from.
From where?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I'm calling from Thailand. Thailand.
Oh, Thailand. Oh, great. Can you please bring down your
Okay. So
can you
what is it?
can
I'm
you
just
bring your
trying the hangar. This.
can you bring your screen down a bit? All right, and your light is off, so we can't see your face. If you can turn on your light more, we would appreciate it, and if you can put on something as well. Jesus Christ. All right, Ojuku, we'll come back to you, but just in continuation, I'll come back to you, Ojuku. Just in continuation, Olumuyiwa, Benjamin Obagoriola and Benjamin Cosmos, are actually looking at this issue of when Boko Haram issue will be solved. It's been going on for quite a while. A lot of money has been put into Nigeria's security, as Obagoriola said, about over 1 trillion naira. But the issue is still ongoing. Their rage is still being unleashed on Nigeria. 234 girls got missing. Before then, 25 girls were missing. And then there is an unconfirmed report of 100 boys missing. Where exactly are we, and how soon do you think we can regain or reassert our authority on Gwoza that has been declared a caliphate of Boko Haram?
Well, unfortunately, things will continue to get worse for two reasons. When you have a country where the president and commander-in-chief commands nothing other than politics, then you are in for a very big trouble or big problem. What we have going on in Nigeria is a failure of leadership on the part of the ruling party and on the part of the presidency. And I have argued severally. The reason why Boko Haram has continued to foster or fester this madness on Nigerians is has abdicated his responsibilities. The first schedule of Nigeria's constitution says so explicitly, it is the duty, it is the responsibility of the government to protect the lives and properties of its people first. That's the most sacrosanct responsibility of any responsible government. Before you can talk about the economy, before you can talk about infrastructure, before you can talk about social amenities, any government that fails to protect the responsibility of the lives and properties of its own people is not deemed fit. So what you have had here, what they have not done, it's a function of the fact that the man who is president and commander-in-chief has refused to exercise that responsibility, has refused to take the bull by the horn, has refused to begin to define for himself what it means to be president and why he's president of Nigeria. He has handled this whole issue in a manner that is so shameful, so despicable, and you begin to wonder if we ever had a president in this country. And let me just give you two instances so quickly. He said all along, some two and a half years ago, he knew those who were behind Boko Haram. Again, he said Boko Haram cabinet and members have infiltrated his cabinet. When you have a president with so much information at his disposal saying that, you'll be tempted to believe that that president understands what he's saying. 2 years, 3 years down the line, he has never prosecuted one person. All along, the story we've been hearing is that Boko Haram is winning because the APC, which is the opposition party, have so many sympathizers of Boko Haram. And then when they used to say that, they used to point fingers at the man who was the former governor of Borno State, Ali Modu Sharif. Today, as we speak, Ali Modu of the PDP, the man who is standing one of the sponsors of Boko Haram, Ali Ndume, is a member of the PDP. This president has not deemed it fit, or his party has not deemed it fit, to expel them. Never, not even one person has been successfully prosecuted for being a sponsor of Boko Haram. How can you win a war when your president is not commanding? How can you win a war when you have a commander-in-chief who cannot exercise his responsibility? Who does that? All over the world, when you have a nation that is so demystified, the man who provides leadership is the president. Because the man who is supposed to lead in the war front is shying away from that responsibility. It doesn't matter what the northern elites are doing. If I were the president, as young as I am, the powers I have as commander-in-chief stipulates that I can arrest. The state security services and the Department of State Security Services can arrest sponsors of Boko Haram. That has been argued so severely by people. Arrest their sponsors, you will clip them. You will not really win the war. But he has not done that. How then can you win the war? That's one. Corruption is the second issue why we are not winning. This man cherishes as if it's a way of life, and has infiltrated down the ladder from the top to the bottom. You cannot win a war when your presidency and the executive of government, the legislature, the judiciary, the military, and all state apparatuses are corrupt. How can you win? So what you have playing out is a system that has failed, a system some group of people are trying to pack up, and a system which inevitably will collapse if nothing is done about it. We haven't won because we don't have a commander-in-chief. A commander-in-chief provides the... We don't have that. Leadership is not a function. It's a president who understands what it means to exercise his powers, not a president who is lame duck in action. And that's why Gwoza can be declared a caliphate by Boko Haram. What Boko Haram has done is not up to what the Biafrans did, and which led to Nigeria's civil war. Today, we have two presidents in Nigeria. And as I speak to you, if tomorrow Abubakar Shekau announces to Nigerians, do not go out because there will be a bomb blast, and President Jonathan announces to Nigerians, go out, I am the president, who do you think people will listen to? People will certainly check because they don't trust their president again. One, or why we have failed so far, is because Nigeria lacks leadership in military terms, in political terms, in economic terms. And I am ashamed, for instance, to be called a Nigerian outside this country. For some of us who are outside this country, if they ask us where we come from, I'm sure some of us deny where we come from, because it's so much of a shame that we cannot even protect our own people within their own territory. Who does that? What kind of a president do we have if less than 20,000 illiterates holding the whole, my friends have been saying, more than 3 trillion naira in the last 4 years have gone to the military. There's been no single probe. We heard 2 days ago that Senator Alimadi Sharif and the former chief of army staff, Eji Rika, have been fingered to be sponsors of Boko Haram. There's been no official word from the presidency. You would expect a presidency that is so sharp to take advantage of that situation and clip their wings. So we can't win until the man who is president defines what leadership means, until he takes national security, until he is ready to sacrifice his second term for the security of Nigerians. We wouldn't win. And I am so unhappy as a Nigerian. I am disappointed. I've been unfortunate to have been born when this man has been elected president of Nigeria. And I fear the worst for Nigeria in the next 1-2 years, if nothing urgently is done about it. So I want to submit that for us to win, Nigerians must think right and think deeply when they are going to the post next year, and elect somebody who can exercise his responsibilities and his powers as president, who can provide leadership, who can stamp out corruption, and who can place personal interest. And that's when we're going to be able to win. If we don't do that, it's not only Gwoza that will be declared a caliphate. The whole of northern Nigeria, and by extension Nigeria, will be declared a caliphate. Thank you.
All right, that was passionate and that was fairy. But then I'll come to you now, Godi. The major thing here now is about President Jonathan not wielding the powers that he has. But you know, in one of his broadcasts, he said that if he should will, did he say 30%? He mentioned a percentage of his powers.
40%.
All right, great. He said if he should wield 40% of his powers, Nigerians will call him a dictator. How do you now put this together, looking at the fact that he hasn't been able to wield 40% of his power to end insurgency in the country?
Well, it's a pleasure to be online again. But before I make any statement, I want to tell my good friend where you are that if you have a glass of cold water, just drink a little bit. Yeah, I feel your passion, and I couldn't agree less on most of the things you have just said out there. It is very unfortunate that we find ourselves in this way. Now, answering the question, Victor, you see, the thing is that we are in this situation because, like Radley asked, the president has not. If there exists a percentage in power usage, the president has not actually used up to 5% since he became a president of Nigeria. And it seems that some other people around him are controlling the power, and he is just, a kind of a stooge. for them, and it is really bad for the country. Now, looking at this Boko Haram crisis, it's still sad that we actually there's so much attention, and then the people in government will come and blame the media, that is the media that is giving the Boko Haram the audience for them to keep doing their thing, because they are seeking publicity, popularity, and then we're doing something. And you ask them, I don't know, they don't even ask them, okay, you guys that are in government that don't want publicity for Boko Haram, what have you done to make sure that Boko Haram doesn't even do something that makes people, complain or cry? We are witnessing series of attacks by this sect, and there has not been any time when an opportunity presented itself where the president would have shown true leadership, and by actually going and visiting the parents or the family of those people, or even the location, like we see in America when some attack happens or something happens, President Obama will fly there, security would be provided, he would give the people hope, give them a speech that would make the people to believe in the leadership of the country. But in our case, we just see a situation where opportunities are being mishandled, either because the people who are handling the presidency have no clue as to what to do, do not understand that the people, they have to inspire the people first. It pains me when I see the ads which actually comes on channels television, when they keep talking about that when bomb blast happens in UK and happens in America, the people were behind the president. And then if it happens in Nigeria, the people are not behind the president. And, they keep making statements like blood will flow. I understand that China will have to air these messages because it is source of revenue for you. But if I were in the position, I don't know, if I was in the position, I would even not accept this type of commercial to be aired on, or this type of message to be aired on my station. It should be aired on NTA because it is a government channel. This thing does not inspire anyone at all, because the president and the presidency have not done anything to make the people to think otherwise. Otherwise, how is it possible that till now, after all statements that have been made, after all lies have been told, that we know where the people are? These are the statements, they come online, on air, and they make it on the national TV. We know where they are. We have seen them. Very soon they will come out. We don't want them to be heard. That is why we are not taking any action. And then we hear this one, that they have taken control of the community. They have hoisted the flag, claiming to own this region. And then they come out again and say, oh, that actually it is a propaganda. When can we stop lying? Is it in our genetics? Is it inherent in us as Nigerians not to admit a simple fact that we don't know anything, or whatever we are being told to do, that we cannot handle it? We should ask people for support. Is it so bad to admit? Is it so? Do you think that it is, if we do admit at our mistakes as individuals, when we occupy a position, when we occupy an office to do something that we do not have ideas, calling for help would make us look bad? This is what normal, rational humans do. And then when you have no clue and you begin to assemble people who would not come out openly and tell you that, sir or Mr. President, that this is not the right way to do it, they keep telling you that you're doing it good. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the country. After 54 years of independence, we are still in a situation where we get garbage in, garbage out in every facet of the society. We have nothing concrete. We have more unachievers occupying a situation or position where they should actually impact the lives than the people who actually, should be doing something. So if the president has powers, which a lot of us do doubt, if the president do have powers, he would have done something. Look at what we are reading. There has been the opening up of the man who was the negotiator, pointing fingers on some people who he thinks are sponsors of Boko Haram. Well, for me, I do not read too much into this, but I think that if we are serious, or the people who are handling security in our country are serious, this is something they should actually be analyzing this thing. Because for this man to go out and be making these comments, maybe he has some facts. They should actually look into it, because Boko Haram does not sustain itself. There is some group or some persons that actually are helping them. Otherwise, how is it that whenever they are going to attack in the areas where militaries were, sometimes the reports are the military were not present when they do come, and sometimes the military, run away. How come that despite the billions that they are still acquiring, they are going and seizing a military cantonment and taking arms and stuff like that? They have information. We have the ICT billions spent on ICT in Nigeria. We have the telecoms company there. We are not thinking about using this, technological advancements to try to fight and win this war. We are only thinking about just, some things in a different way. Otherwise, until now, how is it possible that we cannot, the people who are responsible for security are not technological savvy? They do not even know how to develop a system that can track people properly. So after all said and done, it still goes down to the presidency. It still goes down to the leadership. I don't want to be coming online and castigating the president, because, like somebody said, I think that he is a good person. But it's just that it is fine to admit that when you handle a responsibility that is way above your capabilities, you open up and say that this is beyond me, instead of being led people who are only, just let's face the fact that the thing that is that people are interested in government or in Nigeria is how much they get, because we show so much that the only way you can make it happen in life is when you are close to power. And when we do not begin to think about what to do with the structure of our political system, with the structure of power in the country, we will always be faced with this conundrum. And to finalize my point, somebody was saying something about the born to rule attitude of people, and that is why we are faced with this situation. And it's all bullshit. And it pains me when I see a lot of young people. Seriously, we come online and say, oh, all these old men that are in government. I usually look at it and say, how many of these our youth, when I see their comments, really has what it takes, really are able to challenge for anything positive? We easily believe in lies. We don't even evaluate comments. We don't even evaluate statements that people make. We just buy into cheap statements, cheap political propaganda, and we keep spreading it. And you ask yourself, wow, is it really how the government, the society is going to be built? When we have the younger generation that actually does not show a different, that do not differentiate their mentality or the mental status with the people who are in government, and we keep saying that the people who are there are too old and they are redundant. Then what about you? What have you shown that you can do? You're saying that the problem is because some group of people are fighting the government. That is why it's not the president has not been able to do anything. And then what does the Constitution say? That the president is the commander-in-chief and the chief security officer, and he has appointed several heads of security agencies. And until now, some people will still want Nigerians to believe that it's a group of persons that are sponsoring these people, and yet the president knows this and is not able to do anything. You are indicting yourself by that statement and showing how stupid or foolish you are by thinking that if the president actually does know, and then there are a group of people, so these people are more stronger than the president and the presidency. So the people who are supposed to be doing their job that are not doing it are still there because the president is scared and cannot do anything. And so why should we have such a person in power? Why should we have such a person wanting to inspire us, to lead us to something, to the promised land, in quote? So this actually does not help anyway at all. When we hear the messages, the propagandas, we should be able to tell ourselves, this is just political mischief. This is just ignorance.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And thankfully, 2015 is close by, so I believe and I hope that Nigerians will choose wisely, just like you've just said. But I'm looking at the comment box again. Benjamin Obagoriola says, how do we define someone that is good? He adds that if President Jonathan is good, Why has he not shown such goodness in our education system? We'll come to that very soon, but just in continuing, Ojukwu, can you hear me? Ojukwu Augustine.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, you've been quite around on the Hangout for a while. What exactly is your thoughts? People have said this, people have said that, blamed A and blamed B for the insurgency we face in the country, and of course in relation to the declaration of a caliphate in Gwoza, Borno State. What exactly is your take on this issue?
Okay. The, the best way to is
Oh well, Ojukwu, I think we can't really hear you because there's so much I think your internet is actually bad, so we actually can't.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. We can't really hear you. Your internet is
Can you
breaking.
hear me?
All right, we can hear you now. You freeze it, but you always freeze.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, Ojukwu, I just think the best thing for you to do is to put all you want to say in the chat box, and then we'll read it out and hear what others have if they have something to say, about that.
But I'm hearing you live.
Yeah, but we can't hear you. Benjamin, can you hear him? Maybe it's from me.
No, it's breaking.
Okay. Who else can hear him?
Hello? But I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh yeah, but we can't hear you. That's the problem.
Is it from my end or from yours?
All right, go ahead. I think you're okay now.
Okay. I said the best thing to win this Boko Haram of a thing is to kill all their sponsors. Some people say Jonathan are weak. Jonathan is that. Jonathan is this. The sponsors of Boko Haram, they are in the military, they are in the Air Force, they are in the Navy, and they know themselves. Okay, look at what Aerofire and Hedrika, look at how they're disgracing themselves. The best to win is all their sponsors. Don't be so. Are you telling me if it is OBJ is in power, this Boko Haram of a thing, he can't hear it. If it's Obasanjo is in power, he will kill all of them, all their sponsors. Then this Boko Haram of a thing will stop immediately. They know the sponsors of Boko Haram, they know themselves. Why can't they get rid of them? Okay, look at what Boko Haram are doing in the north. They are killing children, burning. I can't just. I'm so annoyed. I'm telling the reality. I'm so annoyed. Let them get rid of those sponsors of Boko. Everything.
Ojukwu, we're going back to the old-ish. Again, you're breaking, but again, I would advise that you should just put your thoughts in the chat box, just like everyone else is doing, until we get your internet is sorted and you have a free flow of light channel of conversing with us and others on the Hangout. But then Olumi Ababa Tunde is asking who are the they and who will get rid of them. That's another question that has also been raised in previous submissions by people on the Hangout. So let me just move forward. Ben, let me come to you. You were the one who talked about this born to rule. You brought about this born to rule syndrome. Yes, I understand you had this. Can you just explain in a bit? I mean, because in a nutshell, what you mean is there's a northern conspiracy to make sure that Jonathan doesn't rule this country in peace. Can you give us? Can you shed more light on that?
Let me tell you something. I used to say, I keep telling people I was born in the north, and I grew up really in the north. Not just that I was just born, but I grew up there. I went to some of their Islamic school also. I had the opportunity to go there. Now, I don't want to be biased or because we're a Muslim issue thing or a Christian, but I just have to be raw in this time. I just have to be raw here now. Now, if it is unlawful for someone who is not a Muslim to govern someone who is a Muslim. And so when these people grow up with this teaching in them that it is not good for someone who is not a Muslim to rule over you, it becomes a big problem, politically and otherwise. Wherever they find themselves, you will find some people with that character in them. So whenever you come to rule or come to anything or in the position or not just in terms of governance, in the office or anywhere, you will have this set of people that will always react. They will always react. Is in them. And the same thing is happening right now in Nigeria. So the issue of El-Rufai accusing Ihejirika and Ihejirika accusing El-Rufai is I think is their own business. But before we come to that, have we ever asked ourselves why was Ihejirika sacked from office? We never care to ask that question. We could remember when he took an action before in Maiduguri, the northern elites threatened him that they will sue him. They threatened him so far, and nobody is talking about that. But when Goodluck saw the way the issue was going, for him to balance the equation, he said, "Mr. Man, give way." Somebody else came in. Nobody is talking about that. Goodluck Jonathan is doing his best for Nigeria, but any day, the citizens of the United States start bombing themselves, Obama himself will never do anything, even including the CIA, the FBI, the U.S. military, the Air Force. Any day that security agents happen to be sabotaged, Obama himself will not do anything. He can only call for meetings upon meetings, but the mayhem has been done. Destructions will continue to take place. There's nothing he can do. And that is what is happening today. The bombings, the killing that is taking place. So we don't have to blame Goodluck for all these things happening. Boko Haram has been there. OBJ met these people. OBJ met them in their mosque. He went straight to their mosque and he met these people. What do they want? And for you to say it is poverty, I don't think poverty is the main issue. Poverty is not the main issue. Look at the kind of guns they are carrying, the AK-47, I can even say an Israeli Uzi. One of the video I saw an Uzi there. At least I know how much an Uzi costs so far. The bullets, buying the gun alone is not the problem, but the bullets alone, each one you fire, you have to replace it. And they are getting more and more ammunition in box. The ones they collected from the military and the ones they are getting from their sponsors. It is no longer a news that Boko Haram is being sponsored from the money being stolen from the government. It is not. It is no longer a news. If we are fighting corruption, it could have been better than for us to fight Boko Haram. If we are fighting corruption alone in Nigeria, we'll say, okay, good luck. Look, we are fighting corruption. This is what we do. If you can stage a 1 million march in Abuja today, good luck will end corruption. But it's no longer corruption. We are talking of corruption. Is by the way, it is the Boko Haram. How can we still have peace? Let us just have peace at least. Let us sleep. Then corruption we can follow it. The problem of Nigeria has always been there, and Goodluck Jonathan cannot clear it at once. The reason why we compare ourselves with Malaysia and other developed countries because someone has laid a very good foundation for them. Someone behind came, laid a very good foundation before, and so their predecessors, those who are coming on board, are taking the full steps, and they are building from where you stop, and that is why every day they keep new things coming up. But in Nigeria, it's not like that. It's not like that. Any government that comes with his own idea, and today we are pointing heads because the president is not from my own place, and because it's not from the north, we will do this, we will do that. I don't really believe that. If you ask me, I will support Jonathan no matter what happens. I will continue to support him. I don't care who is saying whatever he wants to say. Good luck, Jonathan, being here for Nigeria. If you're accusing him of corruption, it's a different game. But for you to say that he's a sponsor of Boko Haram, I don't believe you. I don't believe you because.
Go ahead, because what?
If you are saying anybody who is saying Goodluck Jonathan is incompetent to be the president, I don't believe that person. El-Rufai, who is talking, El-Rufai is not competent enough than Goodluck Jonathan. We saw his record when he was the FCT minister. And now for you to say that someone is a sponsor of Boko Haram, you have to, for you to arrest someone and say you are a sponsor, you have to produce a substantial evidence for him in court before you can persecute that person. It is not enough for you to go and arrest Mr. A, arrest Mr. B. It is not enough. You have to take them to court. You have to produce enough evidence for you to persecute that person. And today, when you go to arrest El-Rufai or any of this northern elite, either the opposition or the northerners will begin to cry. Why are you arresting me? What have I done? They'll use it for you again. They'll use it against you politically. So it is not easy for you to take one person in court, drag him in court. Oh, you are the one sponsoring Boko Haram. Where are the evidence? Yes, you have arrested someone for a suicide bomb. You have to provide a substantial evidence in court that will make the court to say, okay, yes, you are a suicide bomber. Let us, before the court before you face the wrath of the law. It's not easy for you to persecute, including an armed robber with a gun you saw inside. It's not easy for you to persecute him, follow him to court, and until it will take 2 years, 3 years for you to get a final judgment. Ali Mustafa went to court, and after all and all, he appealed. He made an appeal, and he got his judgment in the court of appeal. Anyhow you tend to look at it, whether it has been delayed or whatever, but he got his judgment there. So it's not easy. The problem of Boko Haram is a two-way something. If you sweep the knife this way, you will cut people. If you sweep the knife the other way, it will cut the other person. So what Jonathan is trying to do is to manage so that innocent people, so that he's trying to manage this so that this country will not disintegrate. That is what he's fighting for. The national conference he brought in the national conference. At least some ideas have been made, idea has been brought. So we are waiting for them to implement some of those ideas that the national conference have provided for him, which we are still waiting upon to see how they will implement some of those suggestions that they have made. So that is all I can say. One of the problems we are having in Nigeria is because there is so much power. There is so much power at the center. So if we do not disintegrate, if we do not remove this power from the center, we will continue to have this issue. If Goodluck Jonathan does not become the president of Nigeria in 2015, a northerner happens to be the president, tomorrow the South Side, the militants in the South Side will come again. That one is sure. I'm very, very sure. The militancy will return to the South Side. This time around, you will not produce any PIM as oil. PIM you will not get. So anyhow,
all right, Ben. A lot of people do not agree with you on all the things you just said. I'll just go through some of the comments in the chat box, and we'll continue from there. Okay, it began with Benjamin Obagarela. He said Nigeria has the worst. Okay, comments are still coming in, so it's going up. Has the worst intelligence gathering, and this is another issue. The whole problem still remains in the executive arms. Olumuyiwa says, Ben, your argument is structurally defective. He says the late governor of Kaduna State was a Christian. That's talking about Patrick Yakowa. But I would say Patrick Yakowa was first made governor after the vice president was made vice president. That's Namadi Sambo. Okay, moving forward. Godi says nobody said GEJ is a sponsor of BH, and he adds that he's not taking leadership in the fights. He's not taking leadership in fights against anything. This government is slack in fighting either corruption or terror. Tolu Akwa says Goodluck has been incompetent. BH sponsors, and if after all these years the government can't find their sponsors, they should keep quiet and stop selling the idea that some people are their sponsors. That's from Godi Wogu. And Olumuyiwa says that this is not a good argument. Youth should be championing. Youth should be championing. So much. That's why we're here. I mean, we're all young people, and then there's so much ideas going around there. We're about to wrap this conversation up. But then, Olumuyiwa, let me come to you. Talking about structural defectment, I mean, just shed more light on the issue of the late governor of Kaduna State.
Well, Ben argued that the mentality with most northerners, he argued that it's a mentality based on law, is that a Christian shouldn't be allowed, or someone who doesn't belong to their religion shouldn't be allowed to preside over them. That in itself is fallacious. The problem with the North is primordial. It's a function of an age-long colonial retardation that particular set of people have grown with. It's not a constitutional matter. The Constitution doesn't recognize religion when it comes to and when we are arguing on national media like this, we need to base most of our arguments on facts. There is a political sociology attached to politics in Nigeria. Every politics must take cognizance of the norms and values of the people. When you have northerners becoming governors, local government chairmen, commissioners, etc., and they're all Muslims, it's because the vast majority of the people in the North are Muslims. So there isn't any law that argues or that supports religion, and there is no law that says that a Christian and a Muslim cannot have Nigeria. That Ben kept hammering the fact that the problem with Nigeria is Goodluck Jonathan has done his best for Nigeria. If this is the best Mr. President has done, then he doesn't have the capacity to govern. He has just shown for the last 4 years that he doesn't have what it takes to be president of Nigeria, because the best that he has done, according to Ben, it hasn't moved us from where we were. As a matter of fact, it has moved us backwards. I'll give you 2 instances. Mr. President, aside from the statement that he knows those who are sponsoring Boko Haram and that they are in his cabinet, said some few months ago that even himself as president, his movement is being hampered, he's being restricted by Boko Haram. And Ben should take cognizance of this. When you're president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, 100 and something plus thousand armed forces, when he tells you that I as president, I cannot go where I want to go because Boko Haram is in charge, what does that tell you? It tells you that your president, which Ben has so much defended, is incapable of providing security for his own for himself. If a president cannot secure his own life, how would he secure the lives of 170 million plus Nigerians? Why would you tell me on national television and national dailies that he's afraid to move wherever he wants to move in the country where he presides over because of Boko Haram? What kind of a president is that? That, for me, is a president who was born out of an accident of history, who shouldn't have had the opportunity of governing a nation as great and as multilingual and as popular and heavily populated as Nigeria. How would you have that kind of a president utter that kind of a statement? Then he had a chief of army staff saying that we know where these girls are, but we don't. It was laughing. What kind of a military man is that? How can the chief of army staff tell you, I know where these girls are, I'm not going to attack them, we're not going to rescue them because it's top secret. And it's 137 days after. Nothing. Absolutely nothing has been done. What kind of a president encourages such military leader to continue to govern? This man, who is the president of Nigeria, with all due respect to his office, President Goodluck Jonathan, certainly doesn't have the capacity to govern over Nigeria. And if you don't have, what you don't have, you can't give. Why one map where you have not been able to do the first tenure? Why would you continue to give Nigerians headache? Why would you continue to give people like us, who are not in Nigeria, bad name? Every time someone says anything about Nigeria, they ask me if I actually have a president back home. It's a shame, and they know it. They themselves know it, and they are not taking any steps to make sure that is corrected. And I'm saddened that youths who are supposed to be the future and the present of Nigeria, of tomorrow, of our tomorrow, are hiding in support of this man who is so obvious to govern the country. And they're hiding that he must come back for a second time. Like, if he doesn't come back, there will be crisis in the Niger Delta. Who cares? What I want to see is a Nigeria where Christians will be able to go to church without having any problems, where Muslims will be able to worship their God, where everybody will be fine. Not a president who admits that Shekau is powerful than him. I don't care who becomes the president of Nigeria, as long as my people have security. I don't want to continue to hide my nationality because I have a president who is lame duck. I want to be proud to be called a Nigerian. I don't want to associate with this kind of a president.
All right. Again, the chat box is bouncing.
We must, as youth, not be that way. And I'm sorry if I've been too aggressive this evening. I'm just appalled at the kind of arguments we are pushing forward as youth. I'd like friends to contribute to that discourse. Thank you.
All right. Let me again go back to the chat box. Ben Cosmos actually disagreed with you, Mulumuyiwa. He says he doesn't think GJ is incompetent. 4 years is not enough to fix the long-age problems of Nigeria. Obagorela comes in and he says that was one of the Obasanjo greatest mistakes in choosing the likes of Jonathan as, I think he means vice president here. Then, today Obasanjo feels the silliness of Jonathan's leadership. Jonathan, he's ruling for 6 years now. So how many years do you think he can solve the problem? That question is for you, Benjamin Cosmos. It's from Benjamin Obagoriola. What we are saying is that Jonathan has not shown the magnanimity of a good leader.
Absolutely.
So many questions that need answers. But then we're running out of time, so I'll just give you guys just opportunity to close this conversation. Obagoriola, let me start with you. What would you say in wrapping up this conversation?
The conversation has been good. Only Ben is still using this regional sentiment that Jonathan is working. I just want to put one simple question to Ben Cosmos, that Jonathan has been the president. We are having the first two Nigerian graduate as president. The president is a graduate, the deputy vice president is a graduate, but our university students were on strike for 8 months, and polytechnic were on strike for 1 year. Ben, can you justify any credibility to this? Because
I
we're
think
talking about security. Security is just one aspect of Nigerian problem. We have not
why
even
not?
gone to infrastructure development, ICT, healthcare. We've not talked about all these issues. We're just talking about security, and you're telling me somebody is supporting sponsoring Boko Haram, and the president have not taken that bold step, that brave step to fight these people. I could remember Jonathan said, I am not Abraham, don't expect me to be like Moses, I am Jonathan. So this Jonathan is very weak, he's poor in leadership, he never believed he would be the president. He's just, I don't know how to say, but what I want to say, if anybody is listening that have to do with Nigerian security, like someone is saying that NT is supposed to be saying this, Nigeria don't have intelligent gathering. Our XSS are not working. Our military, our police, they are just living in falsehood. They just come in. The military was telling us that the military maneuver, tactical maneuver to Cameroon. How can you maneuver technically to Cameroon when insurgents are chasing you? Boko Haram was angry with that statement, and they came out with a video to prove that it wasn't technical. We chased them out, but our military is still denying this fact. Obama came out yesterday and said, hey, I don't have any strategic solution to the Syrian issue of ICC. He knew he could not do it because he's confused. But Tony Blair, Cameron came out yesterday and said, hey, we're going to put our security level as severe. These guys are coming out with policies or strategy. But Jonathan has not come out to tell us anything. We still just living in an age where there is no solution to this Boko Haram. America have been in Nigeria for about 2 to 3 months. They've not come out with any solution. You are seeing the girls. You don't want to take action. Is that not stupidity? So I'm just so confused that nothing is working in Nigeria for security issues. Nigerian military, Nigerian police, the SSS, they all living in falsehood just to make the president happy. And this falsehood, thank God for technology, is being countered with proof, like what the Shekaru guys are doing. Boko Haram started like a little bird of yesterday, but today they've grown wings like eagles. Now they even established a caliphate, which have shown gross misconduct of leadership. And anybody that wants to agree like Ben is still living in doubt. I don't know why a youth will still be saying the president is not weak. If it is not weak, what will he call his action? That is all
All
I
right,
have to say.
all right, Abagorela. Let me come to you now, Godi.
Okay.
In wrapping up, your last words.
Well, I think that the next time we should be talking about Boko Haram, we should actually be speaking about the progress which the government has made in anything. But I doubt that is going to happen anytime soon. I doubt that is going to happen even before the general election. You know, recently the northern, I don't know what umbrella it is now, but something Northern Forum, but it's not governors, but one of the, I don't know if somebody knows their name, give Jonathan an ultimatum to end the crisis. Otherwise, they would not vote for him. I don't know what Northern, whatever umbrella is it now.
Yeah.
Now, and the presidency came out, you know, as usual, attacking. How can they give the president an ultimatum to fight the crisis? If someone begins to think that, if someone is thinking that some people who are sponsoring this Boko Haram are doing that to destabilize the president and not give him the chance to rule because of the born to rule mentality, as someone said, and a lot of Nigerians are buying this type of idea or whatever, that if it is the reason why we're in this situation, there are a lot of indicators to show that even in the north, the people are really not, that people are tired of bloodshed. They are tired of all this crisis, and they are looking to the government to really protect their lives. For them to come out to give the ultimatum, it shows that people really want the government to do something to save lives. It is not just to say some people are sponsoring them. If they knew really that some people are sponsoring them, I think that most of these northern elders, most of these machidos who have been threatened or attempted murder of them, most of these emirs who have been, some of them have been killed. I think there are people who would have information as to who are the sponsors. They would have been able to name them, you know. But we are all saying that they have sponsors. I'm not saying that there are nobody sponsoring them. Maybe somebody is somewhere actually supplying them with arms, you know, for business, you know, making business and stuff like that. But if really that there are some people who are out there, and I think that when you begin to kill the traditional leaders and stuff like that, some people would actually begin to take this as very personal and begin to give names as to people who they suspect are the ones that are actually tipping them off. But these things are still not happening, either for fear of their own lives or simply because they have no clue as to where it is coming from. This is an angle which the government really should look into, because Boko Haram did not start in this way. Like if some of us know the history, how they started as just the people fighting for their cause of, you know, something. They weren't even fighting; they were just promoting their ideology about Islamic or their type of religious thing. And then the police killed them. And then the government went on air and say, "Oh, we have killed the leader of this sect, and you know, everything should be fine." And this is snowballed into attacking police and then acquiring arms and stuff like that. And then the fight started. And since they are actually growing stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and they would not stop if something drastic doesn't happen. And I don't see that happening, because our system, our society, and we say somebody say corruption is not the problem. Corruption is the problem. Everything is rooted to corruption. Everything is rooted to how much money everyone gets, and it is connected to power. Because when you know that the only reason why you're going to government is the day you leave office, you would never be poor again. That's despite how many, despite your position in previous government, that you're still receiving pensions, that you still go up and become another a politician or occupy another position, you would still get a lot of money. You would do everything to be there. And until we begin to look into this area to really scale down on the level of power which the people occupying the level of power that people have in our country, those have, we would not go anywhere, because it will still always be tension. It will still always be whose turn is it going to be, because our ideology or our method of politics is that it is going to be turn by turn, and it is not based on quality. It is not based on anything seriously, anything tangible. It's just anybody can become anybody, and that is why. And I'm saying that there are so many touts in the ruling party. I know a lot of them, because when this dispensation started in 1999, a lot of people did not believe that politics would last. So many people just grabbed the power, and then they got the money, and they actually acquired a lot of wealth, and they are becoming more powerful. That is the problem we have until now. Most of them are just noisemakers who have nothing. They have no administrative skill. They have no quality education, but just that they stole a lot of money and begin to think that they will direct or control who becomes who. It doesn't matter what it is. If they decide that they are going to give you the ticket, you would win. That is what the problem we have now. That is the reason why we cannot solve simple tasks. That is the problem we have, that our education is so in shambles. We only solve it by building new skills, thinking that then the quality will rise when you have a new school. That is why roads are killing a lot of people, innocent people. I lost someone I know recently, last week, by accident. And it is so bad that in our country is becoming a place where it kills its own future and its own heroes. And we are all there clapping for them, clamoring for who should become the president without asking questions. How many times have we had people who wants to become our leaders come on air to debate about politics, about policies, about the ideas? Look at how America does it. It takes almost 2 years before they conclude their primaries. They begin to know more about the people. But for us, we don't care. So for us to really move forward, and I speak this because I really believe in the resources we have in our country, but for us to really move forward, we have to think deeply about the way we do it, because we keep recycling. We have just concluded the national conference, which for me was just a waste of time because there's nothing that is going to happen. A lot of people believe in it. Those who participated believe in it. But then our problem has never been gathering people. Our problem has always been implementing results. And this government has the history of the one that has the highest number of files in the cabinet of concluded reports with no action taken. The only action that is being taken, or they seem to be taking, is the disbursement of Shopee fund from the fuel, the fuel subsidy brouhaha. That is the only thing which I say that this government is things that anything that they're implementing, and that actually goes with a little bit of some kind of, political, how to say, favoritism, because not everyone is still benefiting from the Shopee stuff. So we begin to look into how implementing whatever report. We should stop assembling people unnecessarily, calling them committees, and look at what has happened before. Thank you.
All right, Ben.
Yeah.
What would you say in response to and of course in closing? So just be brief, of course. Again.
Yeah, Godi has said a lot, and I agree so much with what he has said. And Olumuyiwa, I understand his passion. Yeah. And for Obagoriola, he was talking about education whatsoever, the strike and all that. But I want to say something on that. Before, when Yaradua and Goodluck took over their first term, I think the universities were on strike. I think so. They took over the administration when either the university, ASU was still on strike then, and they were able to ask them to go back to school. And later on, they came and they went back on strike, which is this Goodluck Jonathan's administration. And within that period, it was one of the longest strikes so far we recorded in Nigeria. And a lot of steps were made, a lot of compromise were made, a lot of roundtable discussions was done on that. And finally, our lecturers went back to school. But one of the problems we have is that our best minds are left behind in the universities, and the rascals we have taken over our Nigerian political system. Is no longer in use. If you go to university, you see our professors there with grey hair, people who have good management skills to run the affairs of our nation, have gone back to school. But unfortunately, we have the likes of Goodluck and Yaradua, who were once a lecturer or so. They came into our politics, and I think the face of Nigerian politics is changing gradually, and I believe maybe after them, some other good minds will come into the system. But if we are blaming everything to Mr. President, I don't think we are really doing the best for him. We have to support him. But for me personally, I'm supporting Goodluck. He has done his best. He's giving out his best, but the forces fighting him don't want him to excel. I still believe that there are some forces, there are some unseen forces fighting Goodluck Jonathan. We are not talking about the policies he has made. Yes, probably some good policies have been made, but the problem is that how sincere are these people handling these policies? How sincere are they to deliver for us? Because it is one thing to appoint a minister, and it is one thing for that minister to deliver. And when that minister fails, all of us will accuse Mr. President. It is one thing to appoint a vice chancellor, and if the vice chancellor fails, it is one thing to accuse the Minister of Education or whosoever is in concern, and everything will go straight to Mr. President. So this what that try to tell. This will tells us more that whatever we are trying to do, there are some political cabal behind every situation in Nigeria. It's either is working for them or is not working for them. So for us blaming Jonathan for this whole insurgence, I don't think this is the right thing to do. And if you ask me, he's not the cause.
All right.
Obasanjo was in office. He met these people. He had meetings with them. He didn't do anything, but he went to a village in Bayelsa and destroyed it. The village took him to court, and they won the case in court. I don't know how far they've gone, if the government have paid them the money or not. Jonathan did not want to do the same thing in Borno. He did not. Even the state of emergency he declared, if you watch the way it is, he would have even removed the governor, but he did not remove the governor. If he had removed the governor, it could have been a different ball game. They will say probably it is because it's an opposition party, it's an opposition state, so they want to remove the governor. One or two things will come up, but yet the governor is still there. Nobody is saying anything about that. So he's putting in his best, and I'll continue to support him. I don't care what you say, but I'll continue to support him.
All right, Ben. Do continue to support the president just as you have believed. But then I know Muya wants to say something, but unfortunately, Muya, we don't have time. We're really running
No,
out of
let him
time.
try to give a little time to say something. I would like him to hear what he wants to say. I've learned so much from him, actually. I won't deny the fact, and it's a very good. This platform is a very good platform for the youth to meet and share their minds together. Let him say something, please.
All right, Muya,
Well,
please.
I want to quickly say that I respect Ben's political rights to support his president. It's fundamental. No one can take that away from you. You are entitled to that respect. But I want to say in conclusion, there's just one solution to the insurgency. Under interest of the federal of Nigeria must exercise his power. He must be able to place his political ambition less, perhaps under the general interest of Nigerians. Let him emulate, let him promote the general interest of Nigerians above his own political ambition. By so doing, he will be able to take decisions that would affect the main sponsors of Boko Haram. It doesn't matter if he loses the election. He's been there for 4.5 years. He must thank God I had the opportunity of this country. I think that forgive him if he returns as president next year and Nigeria leads towards the path of perdition. So he needs to just take the bull by the horn, enforce discipline in the army, stamp out corruption in all facets of government, be decisive in terms of decisions he takes, and then do what all presidents in the world do, which is to protect the lives and properties of their people and not politicize national security. If he keeps doing what he's doing, Nigeria is doomed. I repeat, doomed, which we pray that God forbid.
Amen. All right, Agbola, let me just come to you before we close this conversation. What would you say in wrapping up this conversation? So much has been said.
Uh,
Some agree and some
there
not.
are a lot, and
You can tell us.
I would really like to talk like as much as possible, but I will try to keep it short. The
Okay.
most important thing I just want to pass across is Nigeria presently is in a state of decay. When you look at it from a surface point of view, you would think, yeah. And unfortunately, even though I was brought up in a spiritual, like Christian home, but I realized that putting everything on God's shoulders won't solve anything. Go and check the best countries in the world. They have histories of course, there is war and all that, but they have histories of structure and everything. Saying, God will help us, God, it's not a matter of God will help us now. One thing that the president should address, if I'm in a position to talk to him, I know he has actually failed the country, to be sincere, but me, I don't believe in casting baby like the water you use to wash baby along with the baby. It's not done like that. At least there should still be some element of patriotism. What the president should do is try to strike a balance with uh, all ethnic groups, religion, likewise. Because one thing I realize is a lot of, like, I'm saying this from my own observation, okay? Like, a lot of people like Northerners or Muslims, they feel like he's maybe sidelining them, kind of, or he's a bit more southern and Christian. I don't know. Like, think of Obasanjo. Obasanjo goes to the north. He addresses the people of the north. He even speaks Hausa with them. Of course, he has his own qualities and his own whatever, like charisma and all that, which Goodluck doesn't have anyway. But he dresses in turban, does everything just to make everybody feel, like. So there is really no unity in Nigeria presently, like Obasanjo's time, and that is one of the fundamental problems Nigeria has. I'm not saying Obasanjo did something mega. He didn't really do anything as much too, but at least there was unity during his time. Go to just one Facebook Nigeria news this thing. You will see Abdul Kadir Musa, an Hausa guy, comment. Yoruba guy will say, you this Boko Haram. The Igbo guy will say, all of you, blah, blah, blah. When you look at all those things and you look at the mindset of the people, through all those threats and comments, you realize that it's really, really, really messed up. So the president has to take it on his shoulders. The first thing he should do is win the trust of the people, and also he needs to get. I mean, if he was really close with the security minister or defense or whatever the name is called or the office is called, things would have gotten better. So I think he's just usually with the Rene or Chris or whatever their name, Tony or Kupe, those are the people he's close with. So he just maybe calls the ministers when he needs to talk to them. Like the minister of defense should be one of your closest friends, like one of your closest. I mean, I'm not saying you should sideline anybody, but there should really be unity. Unity is the first step to go from here, because without unity, while he's saying, okay, let's do this, other people will say no, he's countering APC. Other people will say no, it's Southern agenda. And other people will say no, it's because he wants to come back for 2015. For me, I don't care who comes back in 2015. What I'm after is Nigeria should develop and Nigeria should be united. Because of course there are sectors already. There are people who want Nigeria to scatter. Maybe development will be easier. There are people who are saying Udua. There are people who are saying Biafra, blah blah blah. Of course, I'm a Yoruba man, but I mean, Yoruba has this proverb that when soap is when it has stayed long with the leaf, then it's like there has been intermarriages and all that. We've lived together. There's no need in breaking. And even if we break, Africans are fighting war within and without. So the fact that we break doesn't mean we won't still have problems coming from everywhere. So we need to address problems first, not talk of breaking and all that. And that's why I mentioned when I talked earlier that Northern Elites to talk to their people. They should start with ground education and they should address education. They should, if possible, enforce education. That's why sometimes I have a reservation about democracy, because democracy sometimes you could say and somebody doesn't know anything. You say no, it's BBB, and when you ask majority, then so education should be enforced in the north, because without this Western education that they are trying to avoid, we will have problems. Sorry, I'm taking so long, but that's just, I want to talk more, but that's just the summary of what I want to say. But thank you, it's really nice. I hope things like this, like forums like this, where we can, like the youth who I mean, from far and wide, home and abroad, can rub our minds and, you know. So it's really an honor to be here and share forum with really enlightened people.
All right, Akbola. I was just looking through the comments chat. Godi, just like you're blaming democracy, is blaming the Constitution. It says the Constitution says a school cert holder can hold any office. And Mulumiwa, I don't know which poster you were having at a point. I think your internet froze you, and it says your post was making him laugh out loud. And then Godi says, how can someone with WAEC be leading me and making policies for my future? Olumiwa believes that it is so sad. Well, one thing I would tell you that is I really need a cold drink to wash down the heat that came out of this debate. You guys were awesome. You guys made your submissions very well, and I must say that I do appreciate it as always, and I do hope to see you guys next time, next week when we come here again to talk about issues concerning this country. Young Nigerians from around the world. Gwoza Tolulokwa is calling from Tasa in, is it Tasa or Vasa?
Vasa.
Okay, Vasa in Finland. Okay, Akachukwu Chimdi has been with us, but his audio is actually bad, and that's why he hasn't been able to make his submissions. Benjamin Cosmos is in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Thank you for joining. Godi is in Czech Republic, Prague precisely, and Olumuyiwa is in Dunedin in New Zealand. Thank you guys for joining once again, and for those of you who are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching and sending your comments via Twitter using the hashtag Caliphate in Gwoza. It is another hangout by Channels Beam, so we'll see you again next week. Oh, just before we go, Godi is saying that until politics is reduced to mere act of service rather than big business, then we will continue to make backward progress. That's it for today. This is where we bring it to an end. I am Victor Matthias, and this is the Channels Beam's Google Plus Hangout.